So sorry, I'm doing something off stream. Something that I needed to do earlier. Hold on. Okay, I think I'm good. Alright, vámonos, papi, vámonos. As we are getting into our semifinals and spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Neo Humanity once again. We're getting into Neo Humanity. Let's go. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing CranKy Gaming. It is Dark. And spawning in the top left-hand corner. Oh, going for a pull first. Okay. Spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Terran player representing Club NV and Abydos. I believe currently Abydos. It is Cure. Let's go, papi. Let's go. So, interesting choice here from Dark to go for the pool first. With this, he is going to be able to make some lings and slip out across the map to get a bit of an early advantage to try and force a delay on the CC on the low ground. We'll see if he can pull it off. Because we're on Neo Humanity, it takes that much, it doesn't take as long to get across the map. So these lings are going to be able to zoom across the map pretty quickly. Here we go. 6 lings are on the way. It is going to be a pool hatch gas opener. So not overly aggressive. Again, these lings, their goal is just to get SCV kills and just to force or just to give Dark a bit of an early economic advantage. Here we go. Lings are moving out across the map and they're going to be avoiding the scout of the SCV. Nicely done. 4 of these lings do avoid it. But the SCV does confirm the timing on that hatchery, and now Cure knows to keep his Reaper at home or to look for those lings. So again, because of the hatch timing, he knows it's a pull first. Reapers are staying here, and the lings, they dip in, they see the Reaper, and they're going to be chilling out here. So because of the openers, Dark was hoping that Cure was going to skip his SCV scout. And I don't blame him. For example, Bjorn very rarely SCV scouts in TvZ. Very rarely, even against Dark. So sometimes Cure does the same. Sometimes Cure also skips the scout, and Dark gambled a little bit. Unfortunately, Cure did not skip the scout, and he is safe and sound against this, and as a result, Dark's opener doesn't really pay for itself. The 6 lings are just stuck at home, not really doing too much. The Reaper does go in for a full scout, does confirm the drone count on the low ground, and is going to get cleaned up. Cure is in the dark as to whether or not this is going to be a 2-base all-in, as there is still no 3rd hatchery. But we see why. Dark is intentionally delaying his 3rd to mine out these minerals and to take a linear 3rd a little bit later instead. It is later, but it is also safer. So interesting choice here from Dark. Very interesting. Oh. As Cure is going for his 1-1-1 opener. Interesting. So it's going to be a 1-1-1. Not a 3rd CC before starport. So not an economic opener from Cure. There's going to be a lot more pressure and onus on Cure to deal damage, to get some aggression going. Oh my god! Oh! Cure isn't just going for a 1-1-1. I don't know if you can see it on the production tab. He's going for a BC opener. Oh boy. Fusion Core is on the way. We're seeing the add-on swap, but before the add-on swap, we have a Viking first. And this is a way to make sure that Dark is in the dark, that Cure is in the cure, and that this Overlord will not scout what's going on. Ay, ay, ay. Here we go. So the Overlord does get sniped. Roach Warren is thrown down here at the 430 mark, so a pretty nicely timed Roach Warren, all things considered. It's not insanely early or anything like that, as we're continuing to drone up our bases. Queen count is looking quite good, but no spores yet. And the first BC is on the way. Meanwhile, I want to give a massive shout out to Vindicta Miguelito. Oh, thank you so much for the raid. Less than 3, papi. My favorite son. you always be my hijito, papi, my hijito. Thank you so much for the raid. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great ladder session. And I hope you enjoyed your tournament run. We were able to cast Vindicta versus Nightmare earlier on in the day. And yeah, thank you so much for the raid. Enjoy the rest of your day, man. Enjoy the rest of your day. Cuídate, papi, cuídate. As Cure is going for mech as well. 2 factories are thrown down. The first BC is on the horizon, and Dark is none the wiser. We see a safety spore being thrown down for Dark at his 3rd base, but his main, he's got a spore in his main, no spore at his natural. His spores are set up to deal with, honestly, liberators more than anything. Just safety spores just in case. But Dark, again, still doesn't know exactly what he's up against. He's taking his 4th base, and here we go. The first BC teleports across the map. Ooh, the first queen goes down. Do we have enough energy for transfuse? We do. The second queen barely does get saved as well. The jig is up. The Hellions are looking for an opening. They're looking for a way in. For the time being, the queens are keeping up with the rotations as the Hellions head towards the 3rd base. The queens meet up there and the drones are pulled. Oh, the Hellions try to go in, but no, the Lings meet up as well. They do block off those Hellions and they are pushed away. At the same time, though, the BC is still alive. 5 drones have gone down. And the BC is looking to deal a little bit more damage. There goes a 6th drone as well. The Hellions, though, are being forced all the way back, and they're getting caught in the slow zone. Up! Oh, we see a full surround here. Dark is cleaning up these Hellions in the middle of the map. At the same time, the BC barely gets out with his life, but Dark has dealt with this quite nicely. Would have definitely been a lot worse. Meanwhile, Dark is going for his counterattack with Lings and with his Roaches. We do have a defensive BC, so the Roaches aren't going to be able to do too much, but we are denying mining here at the 3rd. There goes 2 SCVs go down. Cure is going to be able to hold overall. Again, Dark is now fully aware of what Cure is up to, has confirmed the mech. Oh, and is trading quite well against these Hellions as well. Cure overextending a little bit here, as he's just going all the way. We have 2 armories being thrown down. Double upgrades here for Cure. He's not going for that active battle mech style. Off of that BC, we see tanks and Hellions. Yeah, you love to see it. Oh, it's beautiful, Poppy. Where's Asher when you need him? And we can see Dark doesn't want the game to go on for much longer. He's going to be making use of his queens and his roaches. We have a Nidus on the way. Infestation Pit as well. It looks like Dark is setting up for swarm hosts. Interesting choice here. Because of the rise of the BC meta of mech, we kind of saw a fall of swarm hosts, to be honest. Like, they haven't been as used as frequently because BCs maintain map control. They have an easier time keeping up and finding all of these Niduses, but despite that, Dark is still committed to the swarm hosts. Interesting. Here we go. Meanwhile, we have a bit of a Hellion run by on the right-hand side. A couple of drones are being roasted. Unfortunately for Cure, this base isn't really saturated, so only 5 drones are going to be going down, but, you know, it is better than nothing. Does also confirm the lack of saturation on that 4th. Meanwhile, swarm hosts are on the way. And looking at the vision of Cure, I don't believe he hasn't seen the tech. He doesn't know that swarm hosts are on the horizon. BCs are pushing on forward, but they're not really in position to defend. The Nidus is being thrown down outside the natural. Here we go. The queens are going to be pushing these BCs back. And Cure still has no idea about the Nidus. It does finish up. And the Locust Wave, there we go. A beautiful scan here from Cure, and he teleports the BCs on top of the swarm host, but the queens pop out. Ah, it was a trap, Bappy. It was a trap. The Locust Wave is headed towards the armories, and it looks like 1-1 is going to finish in time. The Armadas are going to be going off on some of the swarm hosts and the queens. The first armory goes down. It looks like the second armory goes down as well. Luckily for Cure, his upgrades are able to finish in time, but this will delay 2-2. Meanwhile, due to all these queens, the BCs haven't really been able to do haven't been able to do too much. 1 BC goes down, and we're not going to be replacing them. With the death of that BC, these Locusts, these swarm hosts are going to have that much more free reign. Dark setting himself up for another Nidus on the left-hand side. Cure having a hard time keeping up. Another Locust Wave is headed towards the natural. See a Roach counterattack coming in towards the left. And there just isn't really much here to stop this. Speaking of the Nidus, there it is. It's going to be going up on the left-hand side. Roaches come in as well, and Cure just doesn't have the supply to split up between his bases and defend himself. He just was not anticipating this. 12 more SCVs go down. The tanks for the time being distracted here on the left-hand side. But Dark has just bought himself so much breathing room, so much freedom. His drone count isn't as high as I thought it would be, I'll be honest. Kira actually maintaining the worker lead overall despite losing so many. But what Dark has is the map control. He has the momentum right now. He is keeping Kira busy at home. Meanwhile, Dark is able to max out. You know, he's got his Hive on the way, continuing to work on his upgrades as well. It looks like the Nidus on the right-hand side finally is cleaned up by these tanks, but we got more Niduses where that came from. Oh, the Niduses, Pappy. Slowly but surely, though, Dark is finally taking control of his side of the map here. Rough trade for Dark, as we do have plenty of lock-ons from those Cyclones. A couple of these Roaches are getting picked up in the retreat. And Cure, now that he's cleaned up all these Niduses, he's pushing out across the map. It's his time to shine. We do have some flanking Swarm hosts being set up here. So Cure has to be careful not to overextend. Dark waiting for the moment where Cure entrenches himself here and sieges up. Ooh. Oh my god, but we're bleeding out a lot of Roach Ravager, actually. A lot of these Ravagers do get taken out, and Cure is not stopping. He just keeps on pushing up into Grief. Meanwhile, Dark's still keeping those Locusts in the backline. Hasn't utilized them yet. And apparently doesn't need to, as he's able to just force this all the way back. Here we go, the Swarm Host coming in from the right-hand side. And despite having that supply deficit, Dark is able to just reset the tank count. Not just the tanks, but the BCs as well. Only one BC survived that onslaught. And Cure was pretty committed. Yo, am I casting Cure or am I casting TY? Cure, off of 4 bases, is up to 92 workers. He is heavily oversaturated. Mate, calm down. That worker count may be hurting him as well, investing so much into them and not really mining too efficiently at all. Meanwhile, the Cyclones are pushing on forward again, cleaning up so many of these Queens, but the Queens do what they need to do. They take down the last BC. Dark getting a 5th base behind this. Infestors are finally coming out a great way to lock down the battle mech, to lock down these Cyclones. Cure just abandoning tank production, as he's looking to finally take some bases, actually make use of his SCV count, which is still impressive, by the way. 94 workers, like, you don't see that too often. Oh. But, of course, bearing in mind that the Swarm Hosts were never cleaned up. They're still alive. They're still a threat here. We have a Nidus on the left. We don't really have too much to actually scout this either. There's no sensor tower. There's no tanks in position. Locust Wave is going to be coming in. Thankfully, Cure is able to spot this in time. It's going to cost him some Hellions, but we can afford to lose Hellions. It's all good. And the game is going to be slowing down from here just a little bit, as Cure is looking to max out and has a pretty mobile army, all things considered. Now with the new Macula Accelerator upgrade, does trade a little bit better against the army of Dark. Does find a Stray Infestor. Nicely done. And taking stock of things, we have 7 Infestors available for Dark. We've got our Roach Ravager. We still have our Swarm Host alive from earlier. Haven't really been able to be too impactful recently. Even in the engagements, like, we haven't really been utilizing them too much, but, you know, finally trading a little bit, getting a unit here and there. Every little bit counts. And every one of these Niduses is just keeping Cure back at home. His army is honestly looking pretty softened up as well. We're taking a lot of Niduses to the face. Swarm Hosts to the face. Locust Waves even. I just woke up. And we see Cure pushing on forward. We saw some flanking Infestors, but Cure saw it coming, was able to reposition his army, avoided the fungal for the most part. Unfortunately, no Bailing speed, so these Bailings are going to try and waddle onto those Cyclones. Dark's going to have a hard time. Here we go, Locust Wave is coming in. Dark is pulling the trigger. He goes for the fungal, but he misses. He's trying desperately to get on top of these Cyclones, but he will not. Every single Infestor goes down. Ay, ay, ay. Pushing into tank fire was not the play, Dark. He loses everything except for his swarm hosts. Oh. That was a rough fight for Dark. He is looking to remax here, but unfortunately he's not replacing his Infestors. He's just going pure Roach. Roach, Ravager, and those Swarm Hosts to support. He's going for another Locust Wave across the map. But again, it feels like for the past 8 or so minutes, these Swarm Hosts just haven't really been too impactful at all. Despite arguably there being some opportunities for them. There we go. Dark Remax pushing out once again. But what I will say is that I feel like Dark's army just isn't as efficient as it otherwise once was. Oh, he's trying to get on top of these tanks. They are unsieged. 1, 2, 3, 4 tanks going down. A great fight here for Dark, catching Cure completely off guard with very little to support his tanks. He only had, what, 3 Cyclones and a handful of Hellbats. Ay, ay, ay. Despite Dark having a rough fight earlier, it's Cure's turn. It's Cure's turn to bleed out a little bit too much. His tank count going down to 1. I really appreciate this though. You don't see this so often, but Cure, he's just tech switching again. He loses all his tanks and now he's just making nothing but Cyclones. You know, just back and forth. Battle mech, slow mech, turtle mech. Yeah, just switching back and forth here in the production. Cyclones getting some great lock-ons here. Dark forced to go back into Infestors, but he wasn't quite ready for this. He is going into Broodlords though. Did end up making 3 of those Corruptors. Oh, far more than 3, my apologies. We already have 5, 8 Broodlords in total. We have a scan and now we're switching into Thor production. Very crucial scan here from Cure. Able to recognize that tech switch. That tech switch. But the Thors aren't done yet, and the Broodlords, they're going to be pushing on forward. They have a small window here before the Thors come out where they can push forward. They're going to be trading well against these Hellbats at least. Not amazing trades, but you know, nice value nonetheless. At the same time, we do see the Cyclones trying to go for a run by, but they're getting caught out here from Dark. He was in position. Oh, do I even want to know where these Niduses are? We just keep hearing Niduses pop out on the right-hand side. And here we go. The defensive line has been broken. The Broodlords are pushing on forward here, but where are those Thors? Here we go. The Thors are finally coming out of the main. At the same time, Bailings, oh, they find some connections here with those Cyclones. But they don't get into the mineral line. Like, throughout all of this, Cure just able to maintain his economy. It's crazy. Never hovering below 90. Always above. As he's been able to expand here on the right-hand side, these bases have been left untouched. We do see a bit of a Roach run by, but it's getting cleaned up. Here we go. Cure pushing deep into creep. He's got his Thors. Got a couple of Liberators as well. The Swarm Host will move commanding in. Oh. But the Locust Wave is going to be good enough to clean up every single one of these Thors. We even have a couple of Neurals. This was not the fight here for Cure. Maybe just overextending a little bit. Just getting a little bit over eager. Oh, not like this, Papi. As Dark has the momentum. That was the fight he needed, and he has enough left over to keep on pushing. There were never enough Thors. You know, 4 or 5 Thors is all we had to really work with, and maybe the scout of the Broodlords was a little bit too late in the end. We're trying to focus down these Broodlords. It looks like the final Broodlord is going to go down. Cure, finally his worker count dipping below 90. Dark himself able to maintain his own economy here with only around 70 workers. Remaxing on a Roach Ravager, and because of all the Thor production, there aren't a lot of tanks, there aren't a lot of Cyclones. Now is the moment for Dark. GG gets called, and Dark takes game number 1. After a pretty intense game, he's able to take a lead in this series. But it was pretty dynamic overall. Yeah, I feel like not too frequently do we see both the Zerg player and the Terran just switching tech time and time again, trying to catch each other off guard. Cure switching back and forth between tanks and Cyclones. Eventually, Dark goes for the checkmate move with those Broodlords. Does end up getting scouted, but a little bit late. Cure didn't have a lot of supply to work with. You could even argue that Cure's SCV count was hindering him more than helping him. Sorry, I'm still waking up. I'm running on fumes, Papi. But because of that high SCV count, even though Cure maxed out a couple of times, his army was never really looking that impressive overall. Of course, his army supply being eaten up by a lot of those SCVs, so yeah, maybe not the wisest of choices. It's very possible that Cure just thought that he would be losing more SCVs than he was. That was kind of TY's rationale. TY's rationale was you overmake workers because he expected to lose SCVs. He expected to be losing workers to run-bys, to swarm hosts, to banelings. And that's why he would keep that SCV count up high. But at a certain point, Cure wasn't losing workers, and yeah, maybe he was suffering as a result. Regardless, GG gets called, and we are getting into game 2. And speaking of game 2, here we go. Spawning in the top left-hand corner of Gresvan, we have the South Korean Zerg player currently leading this series 1-0, representing CranKy Z Gaming. It is Dark. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Gresvan, we have his opponent representing his new team, Abydos. It's the South Korean Terran, Cure. Abydos. Oh. Oh my god. As we are getting underway, and once again, why did I say oh my god, Dark is going for the pool first opener. It happened 20 minutes ago, but for those who weren't here for the beginning of game 1, Dark did go for a pool first opener, and it kind of blew up in his face a little bit. Cure went for an SCV scout. He saw that it was a pool first. Dark committed to 6 lings, and they didn't really do anything. They were forced to stay at home. Cure's natural was safe and sound, and yeah, Cure had a pretty nice start to the game as a result. But things are a little bit different here. As we do see, the lings are on the way. 6 lings once again. Cure is going for that SCV scout, though. He is going across the map. And by the time he does get across the map, it takes a little bit longer compared to Neo Humanity, to be fair. But he will get here, and he will confirm that he has to keep his Reaper back at home. So here we go. The SCV does go up the ramp, does see the lings as they pop out, and Cure is going to be repairing. There we go. Reaper is going to be chilling here. And Cure's goal is going to be to keep his natural safe and sound. So Dark is just trying to be a little bit cheeky, and if Cure ever did skip his SCV scout, then Dark could be able to take advantage of that, but 'tis not meant to be. Not this time. Not this series. As from here, Dark is just going to be fanning out his lings, just getting some scouting information, just going to be droning up from here, and everything's going to be looking normal from Dark. I guess my eyes and our attention should be focused on Cure, because Cure did go for a 1-1-1 BC opener in game number 1. Relatively unorthodox. You don't see it too often. But we see something very different here from Cure this time. Cure is going to be calming down. He's going to be just slowing the game down a little bit further as he goes for a 3cc before Starport opener instead. So much more economic from Cure. Oh my god, far more economic indeed. Meanwhile, nice movement there from Dark, able to just box in that Reaper. And he does get a kill. Wow, not something that you should really be expecting at this stage of the game, especially before Link speed, but very nicely done by Dark. And now Cure isn't going to know the follow-up here from his opponent. He doesn't know if a third base is being taken. This third base was delayed, by the way, because of Dark's opener. So, for all Cure knows, he's up against a 2-base all-in. And Dark is the kind of player that's willing to do that. So Cure is just playing this out safely. Is going for the add-on switch. He's going for a Raven opener. If he wants to, he can commit and go into Cloak. And there we go. It is going to be 3cc Cloak Banshee. Very standard, very safe. This is kind of what you want here because it is a great response to Roach-based openers. You can harass across the map as well. Just a very solid build here from Cure. Very standard. Very meta. As Dark behind this is just going to be chilling and joining on up. He's going to be taking his first gas as well. He did invest into Link speed. And Dark himself has got some options available to him. Speaking of options, there we go. Goes for Roach Warren. Yeah, when I think of Dark, I think of the Roach. Do think of the Roach. Is going to be on the way. Meanwhile, the Banshee is revealed. Cure is going to be hunting down some of these Overlords. And again, Dark is fully aware of what he's up against now because of the timing of the Banshee. And he even has this Overlord here on the right-hand side that can dip in as well. Where's this out? So yeah, things are going to be settling down here, and I imagine we should be seeing 1-1. There we go. So Dark is going to be going for a Roach 1-1 timing. These can hit very, very hard, especially if Dark's economy isn't slowed down. Like if he isn't forced to re-drone, if he isn't forced to replace workers lost, then Dark can hit pretty hard with this. He has been known to. Oh boy. On top of that, Cure has to figure out what's going on. As the Roach Warren is here at the natural, Evo Chambers are in the main, the Banshees are going to be headed towards that main base area. But the Queens have spotted it, they are in position, and the Banshees do not find a way in. They're going to be able to be a little bit annoying here at the fourth, but no, not even... Okay, there we go. Not even that, they're just going to be skirting around the edge of the map, looking for another opening instead. But 5 Overlords, that's a pretty heavy supply block, actually. 5 Overlords are on the way. 9 Overlords. Oh my god. Laser, is that you? 9 Overlords in production. Jesus. It's a brutal supply block there from Dark. He has broken free of it. And from here, he's going for an infestation pit. Interesting. So I thought he was going to try and cut workers at around 66 and just make pure Roach and hit that timing. But no, Dark is going for a longer game. He is saturating his 4th base. Oh. Hellions do threaten diving in towards the 4th. Oh, they're going to be able to get 1 drone for their troubles. Not bad. Not bad at all. We do see Dark just poke in and out. Hive is thrown down. This is what I mean when I say a longer game. Personally, I do want to read into this a little bit, and I want to say that because of the heavy supply block, Dark opted not to hit the 1-1 timing, and we can see him just completely switching gears. He's going for a Baneling Nest, he's going for a Hive, and he's going for +1 melee, so he is transitioning into Ling Bane. So I think Dark recognizing that Cure is a good enough player that if Dark hit the 1-1 timing and if he hit it late, that it wouldn't be good enough to defeat Cure. So Dark, I think, showing a lot of respect to his opponents. Forced to switch his tech. Switching like this as a Zerg player is really awkward because you invested so much into Roach Ravager and it just doesn't trade too well. As we can see here, a lot of Roaches are getting picked off to these Marines. Ooh. And as a Zerg player, you're pretty vulnerable right now because you don't have Baneling speed, you don't have Banelings to speak of at all, so these bio pushes can do quite well. 1 medevac does get focused down. 2-2 on the horizon here for Cure. Dark has survived initially, but again, the window for Cure to deal damage is closed once Bailing Speed finishes. It's still on the way, it's still just barely starting, so I'm sure Dark is going to be in a little bit of trouble until that happens. We'll see if Cure is able to take advantage of the lack of Bailing Speed. For the time being, he's just situating himself here. He's slowly getting a 4th base. He's working on +1 ship weapons as well. He goes to the scan and he sees the Fast Hive. He sees Adrenal Glands researching as well. Viper is on the way. Dark has been pretty greedy tech-wise, of a relatively low drone count. He does this quite often, you know, he goes straight into Hive as quickly as possible, and Cure hasn't been able to stop it. Upon seeing that the Hive is already done, I'm sure that Cure is already thinking about Vipers, and there we go, Ghost Academy gets thrown down, and it's going to be unwise for Cure to push out before he has any Ghosts. Dark has successfully defended, you know, he's maxing out, he's taking his bases, 5th bases, getting saturated. Ultra Cavern is thrown down as well. He doesn't have the best upgrades for Ultras, but he will have the tech for it anyway. And yeah, now that Dark is maxed out, he's going to have to trade. We'll see what he can get done, as he's going to be able to catch 2 of these tanks here for free on the front lines. Bailing's rolling forward, no splits! Oh, Cure a little bit distracted. Oh my god, he was maybe paying attention to elsewhere. I'm not too sure what though. Maybe a drop across the map as the base gets completely broken. Ay, 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 and Dark is not stopping, by the way. He's getting on top of the tank in the natural base as well. Biles are going to be connecting on the Medivacs. And Dark, all he wanted to do here was trade. He's like, mate, I'm maxed out. I want to get rid of the Roach Ravager. I want to make Ultras. I want to make more Ling Bane. I want to refine my army. Little did he know that he was going to just break the 3rd. And now Cure, he's dying. He's down 50 supply. His economy is still looking quite good, but Dark just remaxes and he's going in again. Here we go. Blinding Clouds get thrown down on the tanks. The EMP was a little bit too late. The Bailings roll on in as well, and they're going to be able to swallow up the mineral line. The tank count gets reset. There aren't enough Marines to stop this, and Dark, we don't even need the Ultras. We would like the Ultras, but we don't need them. GG gets called. Dark takes the series 2-0 in a dominating game 2. Ugh. Cure, just a lapse of attention there, was looking at the wrong place at the wrong time. Dark shows up out of nowhere and just he just takes it. That's just it. GG, well played. Congratulations, Dark is going to be moving on to the grand finals, where he's going to be facing his next opponent. Who's it going to be? That's the question. I actually don't know who was waiting. I know Gumiho was up there. Max Pax took down Trigger, took down BioIce, and 2-0'd Hero Marine. Wow, it's going to be a Dark versus Max Pax finals.